Hey, kitty. No, no. Guess what?
No, you have to listen. You have to listen to this.
Oh, God, fine.
Well, I reached my word goal today, which is always nice. Oh, okay, so you still want to be in this? Like, you're giving me mixed signals. Anyway, so I wanted to talk about Ray Bradbury. I have been listening to a bunch of short stories because that is what I do at work when I'm doing work. That doesn't require me to use my brain, which means that I can listen to audiobooks and do other mental gymnastics like contemplate my life and the universe and life choices. Anyway, someone just texted me and I'm gonna scrinch back on that. So Ray Bradbury, unlike Terry Pratchett, who has one storyline for each character that goes throughout his whole book that is unveiled piece by piece, paragraph by paragraph, Ray Bradbury, every single one of his chapters is its own self-contained short story. And all of the short stories just kind of are conglomerated together and they're considered like one whole story, which I find really interesting because you'll get things like the Martian Chronicles, which are a bunch of disconnected short stories that all just happen to take place on Mars. And then you'll have something like Dandelion Wine, which I just finished listening to, which is a bunch of short stories, and at some point they're all technically connected by one of the characters who appears a lot in all of them, but he's not like always the main character. He's just sometimes an observer, sometimes main character. And it's a very interesting style of writing because I think it's just a very good way to pace yourself and to keep people interested in finishing chapters, which I think is really cool. So comparing him to Terry Pratchett has a very much a style of, multiple stories going on at once and they all conclude at the same time. Whereas for Ray Bradbury, you can put it down after you're done with the chapter and then pick it back up again because you kind of have the emotional completion for that one chapter, which is pretty cool. He also writes much more atmosphere than Terry Pratchett, because Terry Pratchett, I love his stuff. He's more focused on parody and dialogue and characters unfolding a plot. In the Night Watch series, for example, the character is always working towards something, trying to find it out. Whereas in a lot of the works by Ray Bradbury, Martian Chronicles and Dandelion Wine, not a lot is actually happening in all of or any of the chapters. For example, in Martian Chronicles, one of the stories, a man is building a hot dog stand on the side of the road, and a bunch of Martians come up, and he tries to scare them off, and he starts internally freaking out. And because of that, the descriptions of the atmosphere and what's going on around him and what other people are saying to him are colored in such a way that it starts to make you and the writing reflect his anxiety. So it makes sense to him when he, jumps into the Martian boat and speeds away, with the Martians just following him. So you can sum it up in, like, a sentence. Martians go to a man gets scared, tries to run away, the Martians catch up to him, and they give him the deed for half of Mars. But then the man finds out that there's a war on Earth, and no more humans are coming to Mars, so the land is worthless. But he managed to stretch that into a good, 5,000 words, and that was just building up tension, building up not what physically was happening, but the atmosphere and what the characters were feeling. And I think that's really cool, because I personally can't really do that as well as I can with Terry Pratchett style, because when I read, I like to have something happening. I like to have plot. I like to have snappy things happening. But it's an interesting contrast of writing styles. And I might look into that later if I need to pad out my story. But reach the word goal for today, and that's important.